Thank you, everybody. Well, my name is Andrew Byrom. I'm a graphic designer, a typeface designer, and I'm also a professor at Cal State Long Beach. The past few weeks, I've been thinking about the theme of today's presentation. And how I just introduced myself then, I realized I never do that. I never tell people I'm a professor when I'm talking to designers. I never tell people I'm a designer when I'm talking to anyone that isn't a designer. And I've come to the conclusion, maybe similar to the last few speakers, that it's not always a healthy thing or not always a good idea to define yourself or give yourself a title. Because lots of people, I think of myself as a typeface designer, but I know for a fact that a lot of people see me as an artist. And you can see the kind of disappointed look on their face when I say, no, I'm a typeface designer. What I decided to talk about today is, instead of defining my title or defining what people call me, it's just trying to define what I'm really doing in my work. And what I'm trying to do, I think, which I've came up with in the past few weeks, is try to create some kind of visual rim shot. Now, a rim shot, for those of you who don't know, is this. And it's the sound you might put in at the end of a bad joke. Maybe. One of those two. I thought at one point they might keep the drummer here, we could have done it live, you know. So I think what I'm trying to do is tell a story, or I'm trying to tell a funny story or a joke, or I'm trying to get a reaction with my work. And even though I'm designing things that are for use by other people, typefaces, the way I'm designing them, I think I'm hoping to bring people in and on a more of a shared joke. My work changed quite drastically when I saw this chair in the corner of my office in London a long time ago now. And I started to look at this chair, and I was designing type at the time, and I started to look at this chair and realize or view it as the letter H. And if you can imagine this now, if you can accept this as a letter H, and then you can accept what, you know, the whole alphabet that may come through this. And I designed this 2D design, digital, very quickly in Illustrator, couldn't paste. And this was one of my earliest three-dimensional typefaces. So the big leap was from taking it from the page or the screen and turning it into a three-dimensional objects, which we have here. So you can go and sit on that H now, put your maybe a little glass table on top of that, and you can put your coffee down on the M. We made lots of read the whole set. That's one of the kind of constraints of what I do. I can have an idea, but I've got to make 26 of these things. So sooner or later, it kind of breaks down and doesn't work, you know? So, and designing typefaces is designing systems and figuring out if it's going to work. And obviously, some letters are easier than others. So the next, I'm kind of rushing through this part because I want to show you my work and then show you how I'm trying to define myself through that. So here's the next step, the next typeface I designed straight after. The first typeface I called Interiors, and then I wanted to design a tubular steel version, so I thought it'd be funny to call this one Interiors Light, as it was a typeface, but make it out of neon light. I went through the same kind of process. I collaborate with people. I had to convince the neon manufacturer to help me produce this. He didn't want to produce it. He told me to, you know, go away. It's not going to work. This line that you're doing won't work. In neon has to be this low relief kind of design. And I went back and forth with this guy, and and I used to do these blueprints, and then I'd turn up at his studio in the morning, like 8 o'clock, and he'd drive in his van and see me and be like and shaking his head. And in the end, he said, "Go away. You know, I don't want to do it." That was his line. I thought he was just being, you know, hard to get for a long time, but really just wasn't interested. So, and then one day I got a phone call from him over the weekend, and he said, and this was really out of the blue, weeks later, "I've just figured out how to do it." And it was a big moment for me because I realized then collaborating with people always seemed like I would approach them and I would pay them to do what I wanted them to do. But I realized, no, it's actually it's a process, it's a back and forth. And he was now a partner in this idea now, or I'd kind of hooked him into this idea. And we created this neon kind of prototype design. So now I was on a roll, designing not just two-dimensional typefaces, but always thinking about how they would look in three dimensions. And this is this is a stencil design that was produced for my son. I had it laser cut, huge big letters, so he could make things with his crayons, and he could make typography when he was a 5-year-old, and I could critique it. It's fun in my house. I realized that the stencil design, the breaks that happen in a stencil design, are very similar to the breaks you might need if you were creating grab bars that might go in your bathroom. So again, I went to the manufacturers of the people that make grab bars, and we spent a lot of time producing on the machines, producing these things, figuring out the constraints of this factory process that makes bathroom grab bars. And what began to happen is I had an idea of how I wanted it to look, but then when I went through this process of trying to make these things for mass production, it changed completely. All the ideas I had were free from the process that you had to use to make them. So when I went in and measured the machine, figured out where you can and can't do these compound curves, and the real constraints of how to make this, it forced the design. And that is ever since then, that is what I've been looking for. Looking for constraints that force my hand, and often and almost always, you end up with something that feels brand new, or unique, in the world of typography. So, and I'm just going to finish with showing you two more before I talk about something else. And here's another design that's based on, we've all done this thing where we pull a blind, this is in my office in Long Beach. I pulled this blind and it turned up and it tapers into this shape. And I thought to myself, that's beautiful, right? I'm obsessed with typography now. There's a typeface right there in front of me. So I bought a few of these things from Home Depot and pinned them on the wall and pulled a few strings and made my prototype in the studio there. So I'm dealing with, my thoughts are that I'm dealing with, really trying to figure out a system that will make me do something. So I'm playing with these Venetian blinds and they're telling me, showing me a way. Here's another design. This is the kite. It's called a letterbox kite, and these are some box kites. And here I am with my son and my wife at Seal Beach, just about to fly these things. And as I was making these, the reason it says yes is because all the way through this process, friends of mine would say, well, you're a graphic designer or a typeface designer. You don't know how to make kites. And you think you do, but are they going to fly? And I would be, yeah, it's fine. It looks like an S or whatever, it's going to fly. So I was so confident, that's why it says yes, so that we could do this. We could fly them, and in the end, it would prove them wrong. I'm just going to stop here and point at this image. It's a friend of mine called Aubrey, and I asked him to come to the beach and help me fly these things. Now, I never asked him to wear those trousers or that shirt, and I never asked him to stand exactly on the horizon like that. But that's an amazing picture, right on his... and they did fly. Of course they fly, So, and there's a project I did for a CIFA, which is an animation society, and they had a student animation competition, and it was a similar event so like this. There's probably a room full of people like this, and they showed all the student animations, these short animations, and then they gave out these 5 awards. So I designed their logo maybe a year earlier, and I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I made these awards, these trophies, 3-dimensional blocks of plastic. And when they came up to get their award, it would be one of the letters, and it moves. And I thought I was being very clever. Right? And it wasn't until the event, until students were walking off stage, that I realized that I'd forgotten something. It's no big deal for me, maybe, to get a trophy in the shape of an F, but no student wants to walk off with a big F. Competition like this. So, and here's the last of my typefaces I'm going to show you. This is quite an up-to-date project. Here's a typeface, a traditional 2D typeface that I designed quite a while back now. But as I was looking at this, I always saw it as being 3-dimensional. It's a flat design, but I'm looking at it, it's a very traditional black letter design, but I'm looking at it as little walls. And I made these little steel sheets of metal. And that was the end of the design, right? So I saw these as coming up, you could walk around them. And then I was asked to design a cover for UCLA Extension recently. So this is how this works, so it looks from different angles. I was asked to design a cover for UCLA, and I looked at that typeface again and saw it from a different angle. Instead of it being little walls, I saw it flat again, and I realized that I could make these things into tables and chairs, and you could sit on them. And I'm going to show you, this is the cover, this is the first time it's been seen, and I didn't ask if I could do this, I just realized I probably should have asked UCLA if I can show you this. Can you see that? That's a lot of people sitting on the UCLA Extension tables and chairs, and this is on the new catalog cover. I'll press this button before anyone takes photographs. That was a sneak peek. So, that is the work I do. That is the kind of work I'm generating through my own. This is self-generated. There's no clients involved in much of that work. So what I thought I'd talk about today is how graphic designers define themselves with these things, right? And how I hate business cards. I've come to really think they're a waste of time and a waste of paper, almost. And if someone gives me a business card, and we've probably done that too, we take it, we put it in our wallet, and then 2 months later, we find it, and we can't remember who it was. The memory of the person is never linked to the card. And I think designers and businessmen and women are always, they're obsessed with business cards. They think it makes them look legitimate or makes them look real. That's a human problem, I guess. I want to be a businessman, so I better dress like a businessman and look like one and have my card. But graphic designers, it seems to me, shouldn't be doing things like this. And I've tried all my career to have something that I give to people that is a little more than that. So here's my mask that I produced when I was just graduating, before I had a job. And I produced lots of these plastic cheap masks with a little bit of elastic that goes around the back. And I handed them out all over London, every design firm. And my first job, it was not long, a week or two later, I got a phone call and I went to the interview. And I got my first job working in a publishing house called Routledge. And the man who interviewed me said, well, his boss had said, we need someone. And he looked up and he'd hung my mask from his coat stand. And I was looking down at him. And my information was on the inside. So that worked for me. And I like the idea now of, instead of a card, giving people something, So I've gone all out ever since to make objects, make things that you want to keep, not that you hide and lose. So, and I'm not sure if I'm right here. I might be very wrong, right? This presentation is actually helping me to figure out what I'm doing here. So I made some more stencils. I used the typeface that I showed you earlier, and I made these plastic stencils. It's A to Z, but when it gets to W, it turns into my website address. And I was giving these out to people, and we had a few hundred made, and then they ran out, got a couple left now. And then this is those things that you see on office doors. I went to the people that produce those, like office numbers, they're raised a little bit, and I asked if they would make some business cards. And this is also good, because when you get this, it's business card size, but it's just too stiff to put anywhere, so you have to hold it. And I like the idea of giving something to someone that's almost, they're just walking around with it all night. Which better? You get the feeling at least that they're going to keep this. This is a very dark slide here, but you can just about make out what's going on. My desk broke in my office, and it annoyed me. So I took it to this woodwork guy. It's good working on a university, because there's woodwork department, metal department. I took it to the woodwork guy, and I had him chop it up into little pieces that are exact business card size, just so I could do this. This is where I need the drummer. And this was silk screened on top, and there's still a limited edition of them. But so my thought is, this is a student of mine. I hope you can see this slide. It's one of my students in my typography class, and I'm kind of always introducing this idea of experimental graphic design. This is his calling card. It's a knuckle duster with a removable type on it, and that's his name that's there, you can see. And here he is delivering it to me. Now, I'm encouraging this kind of thing, right? So I've got, get myself into trouble here. So, yeah, and if you ever meet this guy, just stay clear. So anyway, I spent a lot of time and energy trying to make these things that were not just memorable, but physical and annoying in a way, that would take up more space than in your wallet, that you think twice about getting rid of. And then just at the end of the last season of The Office, Dwight took over for one episode, I don't know if you remember this, and he gave everyone oversized business cards that didn't fit in your wallet. And then I started to maybe rethink what I was doing, because it was funny, Why am I giving people these hugely painful things? So I went back to this very standard, this is a business card, this typeface is like 5-point. I thought it was being very clever. It dawned on me, you don't need to put your telephone number on a business card anymore, or where you live, right? One, because of the internet, the main thing is because of Google, basically, or because of the internet, you can just put your website and have that information on there. But here's something that's going to shock you. I have never sent or received a text in my life, right? I know, right? I don't want people to know where I am, right? And I don't mean like today where I am, I'm not hiding from my wife. I have clients that call me and I do work for them, they ask for a design, I do it, I send them a PDF or something, they come back, I send them the print files, and then they're based in London somewhere, and they don't realize I'm here, they think I'm in London, right? And I think I like this idea of not really telling people where you are or telling too much about yourself. You can work over the internet now. And it works for me perfectly. So on my website even, it doesn't have a telephone number, it just has my email. And that's something, I'm not sure if I'm right about that, something for you to think about. Anyway, I thought I was being really clever, just my website, everything else will come from that. And then I saw this business card recently, and I was, just the name, that's just someone's name. And that's even better. Oh. Now, the problem is, I think, without looking around, I don't know what this name is now. Even now, I genuinely can't remember what that name is. So there's something else. And I came to the conclusion that it's back to this one, right? It's not about your information or how slick or cool your card is or your visual, face that you put on. And it's not even about making something that would annoy or be memorable in that sense. It's about personally being memorable, right? And I've said this before, maybe I should go around and individually kiss you all, right? You'd remember me, right? Maybe not favorably, but you'd remember me, yes? Maybe what it is, we shouldn't think about how cool it is to give everyone your cell, your home number, your email, your Facebook, or be totally available. Maybe it's better to just be memorable and have people look for you and make it not that easy for them to find you, And I want to just draw your attention. This is a card from I have a guy that comes in my house and does things like drywall. He'll change plugs for me and electric sockets, and he's like the handyman when I need something done. He's very good. And I had this business card in my drawer for months and months. And just recently, without looking at it, because it's an ugly business card, it's a typical business card. But look what it says. And I'd never noticed this. Quality work, whether you like it or not. It's genius. So I think it's this. It's writing something that's, or having something, being memorable, and if you have to have a business card, have a business card that just reminds people that they met you, not necessarily how to get back in touch with you, because they can always find you. So what I did, I've had some business cards printed for you guys. Now, I met Andrew Byrom at TEDxYouth event in Santa Monica High School on Saturday, September 24th, 2011. Although I will have lost this card, and be honest, you will have done, by the time I get home today, I will always remember him and his weird presentation. Now, these cost like $10. 250 of these in here, right? $10. I'm just going to make business cards every time I step out of my studio, and that's my plan for the future. Thank you.